This boy was just 18 years old when he took the lives of his mother and both of his siblings. Oh, hi there, stranger. Today I'm going to be telling you about the case of Nicholas Prosper. For your discretion, as always, is advised. And just an extra trigger warning, today's case is shockingly bad. So if you want to skip, I don't blame you. But if you're staying with me, then let's get to it. Nicholas Prosper was the eldest of 3 siblings. His younger brother was 2 years younger, and their little sister was 5 years younger than Nicholas. Nicholas's parents, Juliana and Raymond, had divorced when Nicholas was 8 years old. He and his 2 siblings had stayed living with their mother, although their father maintained close contact and lived nearby. Juliana was a proud and caring mother who worked full-time to support herself and her family. And as the years went by and the children started to grow up, both of his parents noticed the change in Nicholas's behaviour. He'd become much more withdrawn and less willing to interact. He didn't have much of a social life and he didn't seem to want one. He became so withdrawn that his parents got him a referral to the child and adolescent mental health team, but unfortunately nothing came of it. School professionals and both of his parents suspected autism, but he was never diagnosed. He did his GCSEs and then returned to school in September 2022 for 6th form, but by now he was completely unwilling to interact with his peers. In fact, Nicholas hadn't wanted to return to school at all, and he was angry that he'd been made to by his mother. He became even more withdrawn and was totally overwhelmed in social situations. He didn't engage with any assessments offered to him or support offered to him by school. And by March 2023, Nicholas was asked to leave the school altogether. His withdrawal from society only deepened then, and Nicholas totally immersed himself into the internet. He almost entirely cut off any social interaction. He did have a job stacking shelves in a supermarket for a few months, and he also attended the gym. But once he was back home, he'd get straight back onto his computer. Let me tell you, it's just a shame nobody checked his search history in the months leading up to this event, because he'd developed a fascination with killers and predators of an sexual nature, which was bad enough, but he had also developed an obsession with school shootings. He had photographs of one of the 6-year-old victims of the Sandy Hook school massacre. He had photos of 2 nearby primary schools and over 200 indecent images of children. 19 of those images were of the worst kind. And so from 2023 to 2024, this is the sort of thing that Nicholas was spending his time on. This was the media that he was consuming, and this would soon be the plan that he began to put together himself. On the 13th of September 2023, exactly a year before the event in question, Nicholas telephoned at St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School, the primary school he himself had attended, to get the children's routine. So he found out their routine, their timetable, and he began to watch the school and the kids. Yes, strangers, he was planning a school shooting of his own. And by 2024, Nicholas was fine-tuning his plan. He'd got together the uniform that he planned to wear to commit his awful crime. He had tried to contact the mother of the 6-year-old victim whose photographs he had from the Sandy Hook massacre in the United States, and he had recorded himself play acting out the school shooting that he was planning to do wearing his uniform. He was holding a piece of wood in place of a firearm. His searches and his researching had intensified. He looked at pretty much every mass shooter that you can think of, but he had a couple that he was more fascinated with. And this was all in the build-up to Friday the 13th of September 2024, which was the date he had chosen to commit his crimes. He'd originally planned for the 12th, but he decided on Friday the 13th because he thought it sounded better. And if you haven't figured it out by now, Nicholas's whole motive for doing what he wants to do is to be famous. He had at some point that summer tried to steal a firearm, but that had gone wrong for him, and so he meticulously went about forging a firearm certificate. And so he contacted a private seller and used his forged certificate to obtain a 12-bore shotgun and 100 cartridges on the 12th of September 2024. And he spent most of the rest of the afternoon, evening and night time on his phone. His searches included shotgun injuries to the neck because that was his intended way of going out once he'd committed his crimes. Late that night and early into the next morning, his searches continued. They included questions like, does intimacy feel good with a corpse? He searched Sarah Everard and, of course, mass shootings. And then the morning came for him to carry out his plan. Nicholas's plan was this. He was going to take the firearm and take the lives of his mother, 16-year-old brother, and 13-year-old sister, and then leave their 8th floor flat, go to St. Joseph's Primary School, and then take the lives of at least 30 more people, specifically targeting 4 and 5-year-old children. He specifically wanted to have taken 34 lives, including 30 of young children. What actually happened was that around 4:50 a.m, Nicholas's mother, 48-year-old Juliana Falcon, had got up and found Nicholas. She obviously knew that something was desperately wrong, and a struggle ensued, and this resulted in Nicholas shooting his mother in the head from very close range. This, of course, caused unsurvivable wounds to Juliana. Nicholas then took a novel titled How to Kill Your Family and left it on his mother's legs. The commotion between Nicholas and his mother had woken his 13-year-old sister Giselle, who had come to see what was going on. Nicholas fired at her, but the shot grazed the back of her head, and the little girl ran and tried to hide. But her big brother chased her down, placed his weapon over her right eye, and fired point blank. Nicholas's 16-year-old brother Kyle also woke up, and he ran to the kitchen and armed himself with a sharp in order to try and defend himself. This was, of course, no challenge for Nicholas's weapon, and he fired at his brother from a distance, hitting him in the chest. As 16-year-old Kyle lay there injured, Nicholas attacked him with a knife, causing more than 100 injuries to his face, neck, head, torso, and limbs. Kyle managed to escape the kitchen and get into the hallway, but Nicholas chased him down and shot him in the back of the head from very close range. Kyle left the flat at 5:33 a.m. Neighbours had called 999 just before 5:30, and police arrived at 5:50, by which time, of course, Nicholas was gone. Police forced entry into the flat at around 6:10 a.m. and were met with a scene of horrors. There was blood everywhere and the 3 victims' bodies lifeless. Nicholas hid from the police for a couple of hours, but of course, because he had acted earlier than he had intended, his plan was foiled. It was far too early for school. And so at 7:55 in the morning, he came out of the bushes and waved down a police car. He was cheerful when he was arrested, asking the police if they'd locked down the schools. He told a mental health professional he had been planning this for over a year and that he wanted to take 34 lives that day, including his own. He had always intended to take the lives of his family, but he wanted to do so while they were sleeping. He had also intended to grape his 13-year-old sister Giselle. He wrote the police out his whole plan, a diagram, everything down to the last meticulous detail. Thank the gods his mum got up early that day. And as the judge rightly pointed out, her doing so probably saved the lives of many, many children. Nicholas Prosper was 19 years old when he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 49 years. It used to be the case that under 21s could not be given a whole life order, but in 2022 they changed the law so that from age 18 to 20 can be given a whole life order, but only in cases of exceptionally high seriousness. Nicholas Prosper's case has been referred to the Attorney General to review his sentence. As yet there is no outcome. I will keep you updated. As always, rest in peace to the victims of this case, Juliana Falcon and Kyle and Giselle Prosper. This has got to be one of the worst and definitely one of the most shocking that I've seen for a long time. Please let me know what you think in the comments, stranger. Do you think that Nicholas Prosper should have been given a whole life order at the age of 19? And as always, if you've stayed with me up until now, then thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next one.